Hello, Daz Studio enthusiasts. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you back to my tutorial series. Now, for this Friday, I want to show you something I think is really cool. I'm going to be incorporating a lot of different Daz Studio techniques, but I'm going to focus on wind. We can actually get some wind depicted in our scene using D-Force and what's called the wind node. So I want to show you that today because I think it's really cool. Now we're going to start off by adding Milica into the scene. So I'm just going to jump down and add her. I have a blank scene right now, so we're going to kind of build this as we go. So of course I'm going to get my cutie Milica and we're going to add her. Alright, so I have Milica added. We're going to put her into kind of a patriotic theme. Go America. The closest thing that I could get to as far as clothes go was kind of a Roman tunic, but I want to kind of get that look of Milica, you know, like the Columbia Pictures theme where the woman's kind of holding a torch, I think it is, and she's got like a sort of a toga on. So I have something similar to that. We're going to kind of make that kind of a scene. So I've got this Roman attire. So I'm going to put Milica in it. All right, and I'm going to kind of leave her hair off for now. She's actually going to be kind of a secondary part of the scene. She's going to play an important picture in our render, but she's not going to play a huge importance in the tutorial. So I'm going to take her and let's add her shoes. I don't know if we'll see them, but I'll add her sandals. I'm going to leave her hair off for now because we're going to go back and we're going to find a good D-Force hair for this scene. So we're going to just wait a minute. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Milica holding a flag, and I want to have the flag kind of waving in the breeze and maybe wrapping around kind of behind her. You know, that classic patriotic look. So I'm going to build a flag, and I'm going to build a flag with a primitive. We're just going to go to a plane. I'm going to keep the plane at a division of 200. I really think if we get any more than that, it's going to just make our simulations crazy. So I'm going to accept a plane, and it's kind of huge, but we're going to shrink it down and then make it into a flag. So I'm going to kind of shape it. Let's see here. No, we want to do this maybe a little bit bigger. All right, I'm just going to compare that to her. So that looks pretty good. You can see it's just right behind her. Maybe make it slightly bigger. Okay, so what we're going to do with this flag is actually super cool. We're going to turn it into a D-Force object, and then we're going to add some wind nodes to it. So I'm going to select my plane. To make it D-Force enabled, I'm just going to go up to Edit, Object. Then I'm going to scroll down to where it says Geometry. And then from Geometry, we're going to go down to where it says Add D-Force Modifier Dynamic Surface. All right, so now it is D-Force enabled. And you can always tell that in your Parameters tab when you have the plane selected because it'll have this simulation now. We can immediately go to Surfaces and select the plane. And I want you to type in Bend and go to this Bend Stiffness. Bend Stiffness is telling us how flexible this is going to be when we run a D-Force simulation. It's set at 0.5, which is actually very flexible. We're going to drop this down in the case of the flag. We want it pretty stiff, so I'm going to make it like 0.1, or in this case, I'm going to actually make it 0.05. We're going to make it pretty stiff. So after I have this D-Force enabled, I can go to my Surface tab. Let's get rid of Bend. So just delete that. We're going to go to the base, and I'm just going to add a texture to it. I'm feeling patriotic today, so we're going to go to Browse, and I have selected an American flag that we're going to put into it. We could do the German flag, but ich bin kein Deutsch. So we're going to be American. Going to have the American flag today. There it is. So I'm going to select it, and we've got our American flag. Looks pretty good. Okay, now the next step is going to add a weight node modifier to this. So if we ran a simulation with this now, this thing would just fall to the ground and crumple up on the ground. We don't want that. What we're going to do is we're going to put this on a flagpole that Milica is holding. And so we want to make the corners of the flag stiff so they don't move, and the rest of the flag kind of waves and falls down sort of in a nice curve. And so to do this, what we're going to have to do is, with our plane selected, we're going to come up here to create, and I'm going to go down to where it says create new dforce modifier weight node. So I'm going to select that, and it's going to give me an option to name this. At this point, I'm not going to name it. I'm just going to hit select. And you'll notice that we have this dforce modifier weight node under our plane. So that's a good thing. After we have the weight node on the plane, I'm going to go to Tools, and we're going to select this node weight map brush. So I'm going to select that. Nothing really happens. If I put my cursor over the flag, we'll notice it's got kind of this red and green circle. I'm going to go to my tool settings. I have my tool settings here as a tab. Remember, if you don't have that, just go to Windows, Panes, and then drop down to Tool Settings. So either way, we're going to open this up, and I've got to hit Add Map. So I'm going to add a map, and it turns my flag red. Now, what I can do is I can go from my texture shaded to like a wireframe shaded, so we can see the polygons of our flag, and then I can zoom into this side of the flag, and what I want to do is I want to freeze this part of the flag. And I've played around with this a little bit, and you know how flags kind of bend in the middle as the wind blows? I tried to do that, but it goes kind of crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of freeze the entire edge, and I think that works a little bit better. Now to do that, just put your cursor over your plane and push down on the Alt key, and then use your left mouse button, and you'll notice that my plane is turning blue. Blue is freezing it. I like this. I said it in another video a long time ago. It's actually been a while since I've done this, but the blue freezes. So red is where the plane is going to move. Blue and then gray is where it's frozen. So we can kind of make this go out a little bit. We don't want to get too much. We want it to bend a lot. We just don't want to freeze in the middle anywhere, because we want this flag to be furrowing or unfurled, whatever that word is. Okay. It's been a long day for work, I'll tell you. This has been a long day. I'm glad it's the weekend. Okay, so I have this frozen now. Perfect. Now I can just go back to my texture shaded, and you can still see, because I have my weight node selected, it's still kind of red, and you can see where it's frozen. Hopefully this is good. I ran a test a few minutes ago, and it took me a little bit of messing around to get this the way I like it, but I think this is good. Now I can just go up to my node selection tool and just select it, and we go back to our normal toolbar. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to create a wind node. So if you go here, it'll say new dforce wind node. This is pretty cool. So I'm just going to accept it, and see, we've got this wind node that is now in the scene, and I can move it And you can see, let's see, let me get it out. There it is. It looks like a little fan. Isn't that cool? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it and rotate it so it's blowing this direction from left to right onto the flag. So I've got to just kind of rotate it. Now I also, for what I'm going to do, I also want it, I don't want it right on the flag. I'm going to put it kind of in front of the flag. So rather than having it like here, I want to move it kind of in front of the flag. So now we kind of have this, it's kind of pointing down a little bit. I might raise it. And we've got our first wind node. Now I'm going to add a second wind node because what we want to do is I want this flag to curl around. And if I just run it like this flag is just going to kind of be blowing straight. So what I want is for it to curl. So I'm going to add a second wind node. So just go to create new dForce wind node. You can name it if you want. I'm just going to keep it as wind node 2. I'm going to rotate it so that it is at an angle. And then I'm going to move it behind the flag, kind of like this. All right, it's way too low. Let's get it up higher. You know, one of the things that I've learned is I lose where my objects are in my coordinate system. So what I'll do is I'll kind of make sure that it's overlapping. See how it's overlapping my flag? Now I know it's kind of in the right spot. So I can angle it and then move it to where I want it. So I want it kind of like this. And now we have 2 wind nodes. Now the wind nodes are really cool because if I select, I'm going to go back to that first wind node. Under the parameters tab, we have a tab that says wind. If I select it, it's going to give me a bunch of options. The strength, the diameter of the wind fall off, where we want the fall off to start, and then the fall off length. So the first thing I'm going to manipulate is strength. And let me tell you, I have been playing around with these planes, these dForce planes I've been creating, and it's defaulted at 5, but oh my gosh, it'll just like blow everything away if it's at 5. We want it really like a light breeze to get the effect. You can play with this if you want to, and just run a simulation and see what 5 miles per hour is going to do, but I'm going to drop it actually to 0.5. So my strength is going to be at 0.5. Now, the diameter, we can make the wind node bigger. So like I can increase, look at that, I can increase the diameter. And I'm going to do that because I kind of want the whole flag to be sort of in the wind. So we want the whole flag to be affected. So I'm going to increase the diameter. And then the fall off is another circle here. And you can change this fall off start and you can move it. I don't know if you can see it really, but see how I can move the wind fall off. So that means the wind's going to be blowing and then it kind of falls off and the wind dies down where you put the fall off start. And then the fall off length kind of determines how long the fall off area is. I'm not going to mess with these too much. I'm going to go back to default. If you want to do the default, if you can't remember what it was defaulted to, just hit your little gear and go to reset value. So the fall off length is at 2 meters. It's weird how they have the strength at miles per hour and then the distances in meters. That seems kind of contradictive, but I'm going to go back to reset value. So our fall off start is 1 meter. The fall off length is 2 meters. Let's just see what that does. I'm going to increase that fall off diameter and the diameter of the actual wind. Now I'm going to do pretty much the same setup for the second wind node. So the strength I'm going to knock down to 0.5. The diameter we can increase. And I'm kind of playing around with this, so I'm just going to increase it approximately to 100. It may be too much. I might need to change it. But we're just going to kind of get the same setup. So now you can see the setup I have with these wind nodes. I have one that is behind and angled at the flag, and then I've got one that's kind of in front of the flag. So we'll see how this works. I also want to change the position of the flag itself. Milica is going to be holding this flag. So I am going to tilt the flag. We can tilt it this way, and that's going to add a little more dynamic wind curves and folds to the flag. I also want to tilt it like this because Milica is going to be holding it in her hand. So I'm going to just raise it up a little bit. So now you can see I've got my flag in between my wind. I might want to move this wind node a little bit forward, I think, and maybe just a smidge back. We might have to do some adjustments, but you can kind of see that I've got this flag angled now. All right, now the moment of truth. Let's save this because we should always save before we simulate. It's always good practice. So I'm just going to name it Milica flag. And now let's simulate. Now, I got to say also that a lot of you will be like, use the timeline, use the timeline. I have to admit that I hate the timeline. I hate setting the timeline up. And you may have noticed if you're one of my subscribers that I've actually never used the timeline in any of my videos. I know I should. I will. I'll start making some tutorials on the timeline a little bit, but I gotta tell you, I hate it. It's such a pain to set up. Maybe you can give me some clues as to how easy it is, but moving those stupid tabs, I don't know. I just do not like it. So I'm going to go to the simulation, and we're going to, under simulation, just keep everything at default. Let's just see what it does. And I'm going to simulate, and then we're going to watch this flag bend and curve because of the wind. And what's cool is what I do is I just cancel it whenever I kind of like where the flag is in the simulation. And then it just freezes in that spot. You can use the timeline. It does the same thing, right? Maybe with your computer, if you have a slower graphics card or something, or a lower graphics card, you might not be able to hit the cancel in time for what you want to see the flag as, but you can try it. So I'm going to simulate. Immediately, it just starts to curve this flag. All right, so the wind nodes are bending and moving that flag. And I'm just going to kind of get it maybe into a spot. I hit cancel, and then I can kind of see, yeah, we're going to have to manipulate it a little bit. I'm going to pause it there. See, one of the things it's doing is it's not bending kind of to the front like I would like. So the easy remedy is just select this wind node that is behind it, and I'm going to move it forward more. Let's try and simulate it with that. If you only have one wind node, it'll just be a straight line. See how it's folding? Okay, now that looks good. So see how we folded that flag? This wind node is pushing the flag to the front, and this wind node is pushing the flag to the right. And see, I can run a iRay sim, and you can see, look at that flag. I think that's super cool. I think I want to raise it because I think it's hitting the base here, and I kind of want it hanging down more. And let's resimulate. And see, I'm just hovering around this cancel button so that when the flag gets to the folding that it is, I can just stop it. It might be cool to just let it go and see what it does, you know, through the whole simulation. So that's what it does through the whole simulation. So I don't want that whole simulation. I'm going to freeze it before it stops because it really has a nice curve to it right about here. Now that looks pretty good. So you see, I've got this nice curl to my flag. Okay, I like that. So now let's add a flagpole. And I was just thinking that an easy flagpole might be something like a spear. So I have a lot of spear props from like Roman and Spartan kind of things. So here is a spear. So I just chose this spear here. And I'm going to select the spear. And let's kind of adjust it. So we've got to move it. I'm going to make it bigger. I got to say, that looks pretty darn good. All right, so I've got this nice flagpole. So I'm going to just take, should we put the flag on the spear? So I'm just going to take and drag this down to the spear. So now the spear is the flagpole. So now I can move it around and it's all attached. Pretty nice. Let's run an array. Oh man, that looks good. I'm really happy with that. Let's go back to our texture shaded. I'm gonna now take Milica. We're gonna put her into the scene. So I kind of found this base pose and we're gonna change it a little bit, but it's a good starting point. Often with poses, I do like to find a base pose that's, you know, in the similar position that I like, and then I can change it and customize it to how I like it. Oh my goodness, you know, posing is such a pain in the butt, but I'm getting it kind of close to what I like. So we're gonna just keep posing this until we get it right. I do always say that posing takes the most time of anything we can do. Okay, now what's really cool is I can add some D-Force hair to her, and I'll finish posing here, but I want to show you kind of the next step. Let's get the, let's find some nice D-Force hair. We're going to try this Fringe Theory hair, see if we can make it black. Okay, so now we have the flag set up with Milica holding it. And you may notice that her clothing is all whacked. And I might try and get her hair so that it is blowing as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to come back in here and I'm going to add one more wind node. So let's see, the wind node, this will be wind node 3. So here it is. And I'm going to position it in front of Milica so that it's going to be kind of blowing her hair and her clothing. And I don't want to get too crazy with the wind node because we don't want to really get her hair like all over the flag. But if we could get a little bit of wind, and I'm going to really drop this down. Let's drop it to like 0.3 miles per hour. I don't want a huge blowing wind. You know, if she was like riding in a car or something like that, we might want the wind to be a lot stronger, of course, but we're not going for that in this picture. Now, to do this simulation, I need to make sure that my flag is not going to simulate because I really like where it's at. So we're not going to simulate the flag this time. So to stop the flag from doing anything, I'm just going to go to plane and go to simulation and make sure that this freeze simulation is turned on. Now when we do a simulation, the flag won't be affected. And actually for this simulation, I'm going to simulate Milica and we're going to just turn the flag off so that it's not a problem. So I'm just going to make the flag invisible, and then I'm going to turn on my start bones from memorize pose, so Milica will go into her A pose. So let's just kind of see what happens here. I noticed that when we do the wind node, sometimes the hair gets crazy, but hopefully it's just a slight breeze, so it shouldn't hurt her too much. Let's do a simulation. I really like this so far. It's doing great. You see how her hair is being affected by the wind a little bit. If we didn't have this wind node, her hair is kind of blowing back behind her. I like that. Maybe we could have made it a little bit stronger, but it looks pretty good. All right, that simulation took a while. My computer hasn't been very happy. I tried to update my drivers, and the NVIDIA Studio driver, it didn't work right. It failed or something. And so ever since then, I've had trouble, but we got it done. Everything worked great. We didn't have any explosions or anything. So I'm going to add the flag back into the picture. And I think we're going to just kind of get this posed. And I'm going to put kind of maybe a sunset type of background. Maybe get her in a position kind of looking up at the sky. So I'm going to add a nice backdrop, sunset. And I think to render this, I'm going to go to the environment. And I think I'm going to select sun sky only. And I'm going to play with this until I get the lighting correct. And I think we're going to render this up and see what she looks like. I mean, anything with Milica is delightful, so this should work out pretty good. Alrighty, so I gave her a slight expression. This looks like a Norman Rockwell painting or something. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to render this up. I really hope this helped. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give me some comments. Play around with the wind node and see what you can do with it. It has lots of potential. Just know that you can kind of get carried away with the wind blowing. And let me know what you think about the wind node. I think it's pretty cool. And, don't forget to go over to BitChute and subscribe to my channel there. The link is below. And you can see more of Milica, maybe more than you expected on that platform. And until next time, happy rendering, and let's keep America sexy.